flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Ms. Salcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bray?
Here. Item D, board meeting minutes not previously approved, 1 through 3. D, 1 through 3. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the board minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, discussion on the minutes? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes. Item E, information only. 1, summary of current events. Superintendent Samaniego.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and board members and members of our community and staff. This week, we have Love of Reading Week taking place at our schools, and I'm not sure if some of you board members got an invite from maybe a school to go read, but I went to read at Clausen today to second graders, and Dr. Jackie Clay will be visiting some of our schools. Coach's college basketball team read to students, and so there's been many members of the community and different guests that they have been inviting all across the district schools. And we also have lots of great learning going on, and this is the week before spring break. So it is spring fever time. I'm sure our teachers are restless more than the kids. They're waiting for that 2:30 or 3 o'clock bell on Friday. We also have then just a reminder that spring break is next week, and it is state testing time season. So we want to strongly encourage and remind all of our students and our parents that attendance is crucial during state testing months that are coming, weeks that are coming ahead. So please make sure you are on time. And that is all I have as far as reports.
Okay, and then members of the board, governing board reports, Mr. Smith.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Ms. Salchow.
I was very pleased to learn that 2 of my former students placed very well in 2 competitions this past week. One is Andres Perez. He won the FFA beef competition sponsored by the Beef Council. And Angelique Valenzuela placed first place in robotics for Skills USA. And will be going on to nationals or state. And they're my former students, yay.
Very good, very good. Mr. Lindemann.
Yeah, I was honored to be able to read to the Stevenson classes on Monday and to kick off their reading week.
Oh, yes.
And I'd love to report that they were very attentive and very well behaved, and what a great audience they were. So thank you very much to Ms. Fimbre and all the students.
Mr. Ramos? And I don't have a report either, so we'll move on now, Ms. Samaniego. Excuse me.
Yeah, we skipped the GEM award, if I may
Yeah,
do
but
that
it's
now.
not on there, is it? Is
Yes,
it? Oh,
uh-huh.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
yeah,
no
go ahead.
problem.
Go ahead.
Our GEM award for this month has been nominated by one of her coworkers at Joe Carlson, and our recipient for this month is Celeste Valenzuela. She is an instructional aide for an ESS instructional aide, so she works specifically with our special needs students. Ms. Celeste has proven to be a great asset to our preschool team. This year has been very challenging, as she's one of having 6 special needs students, 3-year-olds that need all of your attention. She has a love for students. Her kind demeanor is amazing to see, and even when days are difficult, she brings a smile that never fades. Students have come a long way in the class, and it's all because of the hard work and dedication. And I personally have seen her in action with the preschool kids. So, Ms. Celeste, if you can come up, please. Celeste, you are being presented the GEM Award for being extraordinary and going above the extra mile, and you get the Green GEM Award. So congratulations, and keep loving those kiddos. Thank you. So, Mr. Brain, I do need to remove an item from the agenda. and it is executive session B. Please.
Okay, so you want to remove 4B, consideration of a request to be released from contract and consider liquidated damages. So if you do that, then you have to remove in the open session 5B as
Yes.
well. All right, so I'm going to remove those two items from the agenda, the executive session discussion and the open meeting consideration. With no objection from the board, I'm going to remove it.
No objection.
Okay, so we're removing that from the agenda officially. And administration, you have some administrative work to do regarding those two issues. And then you can come back to the board with whatever recommendation you have, all right? All right, student report, Nicole.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for March is as follows. Congratulations to the DHS Teacher of the Year, Ms. Bobby Morales, new Teacher of the Year, Mario Diaz, and Support Staff of the Year, Maria Lamadrid. Congratulations to Andres Perez for his first place finish at the FFA State Spring Conference. Congratulations to boy track for their first place finish and girls track for their second place finish at the Ted James Track Invitational. Congratulations to girls softball for their first place finish at the Carl Hayden Softball Tournament. So what's going on in our district? Spring break will be from March 10th through the 14th, as well as all elementary schools are celebrating Love of Reading Week with guest speakers and Dr. Seuss inspired activities. At Douglas High School, the English Literacy Showcase will take place on March 5th. HOSA will attend their state leadership conference from March 17th through the 19th. The AC Size state testing for cohort 2026 will be on March 19th. Hilda Luna softball tournament will be hosted from March 21st through the 22nd, and ACT testing for cohort 2026 will take place on March 26th. At Ray Barine, the end of quarter 3 sports has arrived. Boys soccer are in the playoffs, and they are in second place overall. Playoff game tonight at 5 p.m. at the 8th Street Park and championship game at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Quarter 4 sports begin on spring break, including softball, baseball, and track and field. Paul Huber Middle School, end of quarter 3 sports, leaving the boys and the girls soccer, boys soccer and girls basketball championship games. Quarter 4 sports start March 17, 2025, including track, softball, and baseball. Folklorico will perform at Clausen on March 29th. At Clausen, congratulations to our Clausen Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Hurtado Molina, 5th grade teacher, and congratulations to our Clausen Classified Staff of the Year, Ms. Patricia Lopez, Principal Secretary. On March 29th, Clausen will be hosting a celebration in honor of our second year as an A-rated school. All of our students and family are invited for a day of games, food, and fun. At Stevenson, congratulations to our Stevenson Teacher of the Year, Ms. Vega, 3rd grade teacher, and congratulations to our Stevenson Classified Staff of the Year, Mrs. Diana Moss, Gen Ed Instructional Aide. At Joel Carlson, congratulations to our Joel Carlson Teacher of the Year, Ms. Starkley, 4th grade teacher, and congrats to our Joel Carlson Classified Staff of the Year, Amarelis Echevarria, custodian. Thank you to Ms. Ballesteros and Mr. Molina for sponsoring a very successful Kids Heart Challenge event. Students had a great time and supported an amazing organization, the American Heart Association. At Sarah Marley, congratulations to Sarah Marley Teacher of the Year, Ms. Paloma Navarro, and as well as their Certified Employee of the Year, Ms. Kaylin Sosa. Sarah Marley will also have their Spring Book Fair from Monday, March 24th through Friday, April 4th. At Ferris, congratulations to Ms. Maria Castillo as she became Teacher of the Year, as well as they will be having their Scholastic Book Fair this week, and Family Day will be on Wednesday, March 5th. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much for that. Let's move right to the budget and finance, Mr. Soto.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good afternoon, board members. Again, this is the report for the month of February. As you well know, we have taken some measures to finish up the year. We are generally expending on essential things that we really need. And therefore, you know, we're hoping and as Mrs. Cox is gonna touch on enrollment, we just wanna finish up the year. We're not losing as much as many students that we were before, but we wanna finish up the year and having some carryover. So I don't know if you have specific questions on that report.
Members of the board, any questions regarding any of the finances or the budget, the condition of the budget, or anything regarding that? We're gonna talk extensively, well, not extensively, but a little bit later in the agenda, we're gonna talk about the audit.
Correct.
And there's some things that in that audit as well that affected you regarding the compliance report.
Correct.
So we'll forego any questions regarding that until we get to that item. Except
Sounds
that,
good.
go ahead and give your report on the enrollment in HR.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Our enrollment right now is 3,571. We had 32 withdrawals in the month of February and 21 new entries. We had 3 kids that were suspended, long-term suspended, 6 that moved out of town, 9 that went online, 3 that were under the other category, 7 that were unexcused absences, 1 went to a charter, and then 1 went to Pep Tech. So we have, currently, we are still going through with annual registrations, and the new student center will be opening until 6 o'clock for two days a week, starting the week of March 17th, and we will be sending out information regarding that. And in terms of HR, Mr. Soto and I have been doing position control meetings or staffing meetings at each of the site, and so we will be updating the board as soon as we have all that information ready to go.
Members of the board, any questions or comments regarding that report? Anybody want to address the board? Item 2, consent agenda items. A, approval of the following consent agenda items, payroll and expense vouchers, 1, A, B, C. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Discussion, members of the board, regarding the payroll vouchers. No problem meeting the payroll, as you just said a while ago, so we're doing good. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes, item 3A, discussion action on the approval of certified resignations and retirements. And to say the least, there's some pretty significant names on there. And at a later date, I'm sure, because not any of them are immediate, we'll have plenty of time for discussion regarding that. But before you get into any discussion regarding that, I want to make it clear that the only thing that the board is going to accept tonight is the retirement date, and none of the other circumstances or statements that were made in those letters regarding any future employment or any other consideration. We're only going to be acting tonight on the acceptance of the retirement date. All right, I want to make that sure, and that's for the record, that approval is only for that sole item. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, so as presented, like you said, we have some key positions and longtime employees of the district in various categories of teaching. You know, we have a coach and some key leadership positions. So want to thank everybody for giving us the many years that you've been here. And some of these retirements are not until next year, so I want to make sure that we know that.
Okay, so let's get a motion on the floor
I move to approve the certified resignations and
Second.
retirements as listed.
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, do you have any discussion regarding any of those requests for retirement?
Just like you, there's some names that are very important there. Well, they're all important, but I look at and I think, okay, where are we headed?
Okay, and, excuse me, the thing that's pertinent there is the retirement date, and that's all we're acting on. And we'll have time, plenty of time to address their leaving and their service and all of the things that are associated with that at a later date. So, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item B, discussion action on the approval of classified resignation and retirements, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have a resignation and 3 retirements, all at different dates. Again, some very key important people in the district and positions. So we'll deal with those as we come along.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve the classified resignations and retirements.
Second,
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Members of the board, discussion? One of those names on there is also very significant, in a very, very important aspect of the school district. And I know somebody that if that person were to leave would be in a world of hurt for a while. Roll call.
Just look at me. I know would be in a world of hurt.
I'm talking about the business
is, I
department.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of addendum, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, so as presented, I've mentioned to the board before that, one of our goals is to really market our district, and going outside to hire a company, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So this is our own media arts teacher that's gonna be doing some extra work for us. I spent, the day with her and planning this and organizing this, so I think this is gonna be something good, and will carry on through next year.
Go ahead.
So
I need
as
a motion.
presented.
Beginning of motion.
I move to approve the addendum.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of athletic hires, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have a baseball coach for RBMS and track and field assistant coach for Douglas High School under ratification, and all your background information is in your packet.
Yeah, it's all there. Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the athletic hires.
second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item E, discussion action on the approval of athletic addendums, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, they're all for Ray Berrain Middle School Athletics. And Paul Huber. There's one for Paul Huber.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the athletic addendums.
second
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Members of the board, do you have any questions or comments regarding any of those? Background information is all there. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes. Item F, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District Number 27, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have 2 donations, $300 from the Fraternal Order of Police, going to Paul Huber Middle School baseball team for baseball equipment, and a donation of $2,000 from the Joe Berrain family for the RBMS athletic uniforms. So we want to thank those 2 individuals who are donating to our school district.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the donations.
second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item G, discussion action on the approval of gifts for Douglas Unified School District Number 27 and designating Superintendent Samaniego to determine the use for those gifts. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as approved, there are 4 different items, and these are, things that come in and get delivered. So then I bring them to the board for approval, and then I designate them back to whatever organization.
Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve the gifts as listed.
second.
Second.
Do you want to enumerate them, Ms. Samaniego, or?
No. No. Not at the moment.
You're not going to have a lot of contention
No.
over that $19.85,
No,
right?
flashlight, no.
Okay. Mr. Lindeman? Oh, you already, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes. Item H, discussion action on the approval of student fundraising activities for fiscal year 2024-25. Who's going to do that, Mr.? Go ahead.
I can do that. So, Board, I'm presenting to you just a general list of any fundraiser category, under a category that we foresee the district doing this year via our schools. And so the list was created by Esmeralda at Business Office, and she's the one that deals with all of our organizations. And so there was a recent change in our policy, and so now, the board has to approve, but it's very difficult for me to bring individual items. If I were to bring every pizza sale, every chocolate sale, we'd have many meetings. So this allows for you to approve this general list, and under the policy, then the written requests go to me. And if I see anything that is out of this list, then, I will bring it back to the board for approval. But this is more or less anything that our clubs, our PTSOs, our organizations fundraise for their schools.
Let's get a motion on the floor.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salcho. Discussion? That's for all the fundraisers.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of the Ted James Invitational Hospitality Room expenses, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes. So, Board, you have a little bit of the background there. The Ted James, this is ratification. The Ted James did happen on Saturday. And because of the hospitality room expenses, which is being paid out of the student auxiliary account, both Mr. Soto and I felt it was appropriate to bring it to the board for approval. The hospitality room provides food for, not for students or the athletes, but it does for the coaches and the workers that come and work at the tournament. So today you're seeing two different ones, but this one is the Ted James. The request is for $1,000 for food and anything that is involved with the hospitality room. But I am happy to report that even though this is being approved as $1,000, because all the paperwork had to be submitted ahead of time, requisition, a PO, and all of that, a check issued, the expenses for the actual hospitality were a little over $500. So all of that money is being returned to Business Office with receipts. And we are seriously working with Mrs. Trinta in the future events, because these tournaments used to bring in a lot of money. And the fees that the teams teams that participate pay a fee into the tournament. So our auxiliary accounts are funds that are allowed to be used for activities such as athletics or clubs or other financial, programs or things for the district. And the way we are generating some of these funds is through the actual tournament, because the tournament fees go back into this event. So roughly, it's going to be a little over 500 that was spent, and everything is being returned. But because the PO was at 1,000, I need to present it this way for the board.
Yeah, what was that last year? Is it because it was over 1,000?
No, it's
Oh.
1,000, because the PO was done for 1,000
Oh,
or the
that's
check.
CPO.
I need to
Right,
present it
because there's
to
no
the board.
threshold on
Yes,
whatever it
mhm.
is. Mr.
Mr.
Lindemann,
Soto, I don't know if you have anything else on that.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith.
Okay.
Discussion.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the uniform system of financial reporting on something like this, if you don't spend all the money appropriated, does that just come back to the M&O or the auxiliary or something?
The auxiliary account. So
Okay.
the way it works is, so we issue a check for 1,000, but for the coach to be able to spend whatever they need to do, they have an estimate on the number of people that are going to be fed and all that. But then after the event says, no, we only spent 500 and some, we have receipts, and then they bring the remaining amount, and we deposit that back into the same account that the check was cut from.
Okay, and does this also cover the officials or referees and things like
No.
that? Well, that
No,
doesn't.
No. No, that's separate.
Where does that come out of?
Same from auxiliary. Depending, we have judges, we have other people that participate, but mainly you pay the judges for that. So it comes from auxiliary too. And that's what Mrs. Samaneo was saying. I mean, these tournaments used to bring, a lot of money, and a lot of teams will come down and participate. But I don't remember, Ms. Tenito, the number of teams this year, 5, 6?
5, 6.
6. Counting us, right. And before, we used to have, more than 10, but.
I'm just hoping that the reporting and the receipts and everything like that are being.
They
Yes,
will
sir.
be solid.
They are,
Categorized.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Go ahead, Ms.
I
Nelson.
I have a couple. I don't recall this is coming before us in the past. So
Right.
how has the hospitality rooms been funded in the past?
Do you want to go for that?
Has it always been through auxiliary?
Correct, correct.
Okay, so this is not,
This is not
Anything
something
new?
new, but
Okay.
again, it's a recommendation from the auditors to have
To
something
bring
from the board to approve it, just to be, cleaner, to make it cleaner. Because again, always keep in mind that the auxiliary is also district monies, and they need to be treated as M&O, as maintenance and operations, right? So since it's food, but even though it's not for the students and the athletes, that's why they recommend just to have the board approve these expenditures. And again, like Mr. Manigo said, and we're probably gonna start looking at these tournaments and, to see if it's feasible, if it's fiscally responsible to have them. If we're gonna spend more than what we're gonna collect, then, but
okay. Does this cover every tournament that we have? Like, does it cover the wrestling tournament or
no,
any of that?
no, this is just for
So-
the Ted James.
Why these two?
Because
Well,
the,
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Why this one?
what this one, well,
Because it's paid out of the auxiliary
it's better than the
account.
auxiliary, they don't have PTSO, they don't have boosters, they don't have a booster club that, like, I believe the wrestling tournament and the hospitality room is paid by the booster club of that specific sport. Track and field they don't have a booster club. And there's a reason why we use the auxiliary account to pay for the hospitality room.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board member? I think you need to go a little further. I think you need to explain that, I think you made reference to it when you said that we're going to have to take a good look at this in the future to see. And one of the reasons is because that fund, because of the lack of revenues to it, is always very, very limited, especially now, right? So to answer Ms. Southchild's question, it's never been done before, that the board approve it. But the fact is that the board's approving it because you're looking at, number one, it's a board decision to see what the equity is of, as she asked, do you do this for everybody? And the answer is no.
Correct.
Did the wrestling booster club pay for theirs?
No.
Yes, and it came out of.
They did it?
No, no, it was student.
No, sir. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing, when we were briefed earlier on the sports, and they had the budgetary list showing the sports. I didn't comment, but I remember showing where it had the budget limit for the Tim Brown, and it was like equal to what they paid for the entire wrestling for the year. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Well, because it needs to be clarified and it needs to be transparent. The fact is that it's never been approved before, and as he very well stated, the auxiliary fund is district money, it's part of the M&O. And if you're gonna have an expense like that, the board should approve it like they do any other item or any other line item in the budget. And if they don't, if it's over and above or it's something that isn't directly addressed, then we have to do it like we're doing it tonight.
Correct.
But the big question is the administration going to continue to recommend that we pay out of that auxiliary fund because the booster clubs and the monies that are raised by students goes into the student activity fund, and then they have total discretion on how that money is spent. But the auxiliary fund is completely different. And I just, it needs to be clarified, especially because of the question Ms. Selcho answered. And the administration is going to have to make a decision in the future whether those monies are taken out of the auxiliary fund, and if they are, they don't just unilaterally take them out as it was previously done without coming to the board. All right?
And I also want to mention, if I may, to answer Mrs. Selcho's question, is these invitational hospitality rooms weren't brought to the board, but I wanted to double check this year because of the food items and all of that, and so I did have business office look into it. So while it's not, it hadn't been done, it wasn't an appropriate thing to be doing these expenses under the auxiliary account before. The auditors just recommend, in recent years or year, schools that are having these activities that provide food even to now staff that works them, the best recommendation is to take it to the board and allow the board to make a recommendation or a decision on the purchase or the expense.
If it's not budgeted
Yes.
for initially.
Correct.
And that's why the administration, I hate to be redundant, but if they decide that they're gonna go along with the Ted James Invitational and the Hilda Luna softball tournament, it's gonna have to be part of the budget next year. And that's whether or not they decide to put it in, and then we initially approve the budget, so it's already approved, rather than to come to us on every individual request, all
Because the
right?
3 tournaments that we have, as Mr. Smith said, so we had the Tim Brown, and they have a hospitality room, and then the Ted James, and then the softball, which is the next item. And so those are the only 3 that are hospitality room involved.
Okay, members of the board,
One more
we have a
question.
motion on the floor, right?
Yes.
Do you have, go ahead.
Just one more question. Does track have a booster club?
No.
Okay.
They do? Okay, didn't know that. Okay.
I had one quick question too. Mr. Soto,
Yes.
to keep track of everything, every expense needs to have a receipt, right? Is that the
Correct.
way they do those things? So that there's a paper trail?
Yes.
Okay.
And all that gets collected by business office, so they're very diligent in, collecting the receipts and any, money that's returned, because then the PO has to be corrected, I believe,
Amended,
to
right.
amend it. So yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, and item J is exactly the same situation, only for the softball hospitality room. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, and so this event is taking place Friday, March the 21st. And again, because it is involving food, I made the decision to bring it to the board. And this one is for $600 for food and accessories. So if there's any remaining money, it will also be returned with receipts.
Mr. Lindeman.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Members of the board, discussion?
I had another question. Regarding all of these tournaments, you mentioned we only have 3. Can we get an update of how much money has come in, how much has gone out, and just
Yes,
to briefly, so that we know
Mhm.
how this is working out?
okay. I can definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, more specific on those tournaments or all the revenues
Those
for
two.
No,
sports?
he's asking about those tournaments,
Well, I
right?
was asking about the tournaments, but
Uh-huh.
it wouldn't be bad to keep up to date, because sometimes we bring things and we didn't know that happened, and we don't know the ins and outs, the details. And I think if I'm supposed to represent the taxpayers, we
Mhm.
should know these things.
Yes, we can definitely bring detailed information on these 3 tournaments, or maybe even, Mr. Soto, the auxiliary budget
Right.
Overall for
And we
athletics.
present the balances, but I understand it's not the same. You just have a sense of how much money is on those accounts, but you don't know where it's coming from, and what takes place and builds that account. But yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Who purchases for these events, for the hospitality room? Is there a committee? Is there,
Ms. Linda, do you want to
The
answer that?
who purchases it?
The purchases are made by the coaches. The checks are issued by the business office. on behalf of the team. They made the contact with, might be one of the restaurants in town, and then they come from there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, members of the board? You know, I've been around here a long, long time, and I left and I came back for a long, long time. Who's Hilda Luna? Is that who the tournament's named after?
Yes.
Hilda Luna?
Mainly, invitationals and tournaments are named by the coaching staff on, a long time ago, I wasn't in here, 94 years for the Ted James. And that's, from our coaching staff. So Ted James was a coach for many years for track, and same with Hilda, and same with, Tim.
I was about to say,
Former player.
I'm sorry.
Because we
So-
didn't know Mrs. Trinca.
But I know that the Ted James, I'm sorry, Tim Brown was after the coach. I'm not sure if anybody knows about Hilda.
Former
Player
She's a former player?
that passed away.
okay.
Who named her? Who named it?
I'm not sure. And I think that was 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
few years ago, that's what Melissa says, but we don't know when. Yes.
It was named softball, Douglas softball tournament before.
Okay, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, because we didn't
I
know.
had no idea.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes,
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berrien?
Yes. Item K, action, discussion on accepting the 2024 audit issued on February 26, 2025 for fiscal year 2023-24. Are you going to do that, Mr. Soto?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. So again, we went through the audit. We got the final report, and I believe you all have that. I'm very happy to report that we had less findings. I mean, as everybody knows, I mean, to be audited and be questioned on 140 different
Items.
items of the actual audit. Last year, we had 18 findings out of 140. This year, it was 13. So again, it shows that we're doing things, and again, these are items that the auditors are just bringing up to us, and so we can be more cautious, and especially on those items. Again, obviously, I'm not gonna go through all of the 140 questions and stuff like that, but I don't know if you have a specific questions in one of the.
Well, no, we're not going to go through all of them. I
Right.
think the only ones that the board should be concerned about is on the compliance part of the audit, where it
Correct.
said no, are they in compliance in whatever the category happened to be? But let's get a motion on the floor first for discussion.
I move to approve.
To approve the audit?
second.
By Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, you saw the audit. Do you have any questions regarding any of the exceptions that were listed?
Well, I was just wondering about, when you mentioned the no's or the non-compliance, and then they recommend how to fix that, and of course, we follow that. But oftentimes, it's minuscule. It's just like, oh, you missed that receipt there, you missed that one. So, I don't think there's anything huge.
No.
I didn't read into that.
Yeah,
No.
there isn't, and you're exactly right. And even in some of the categories, let's say, they call them samples. So they'll select 10, and Mrs. Selcha is very familiar because of curriculum. And so they select, 10 files, and if we were able to clear all but one, they still have a finding. And so we met extensively this afternoon before the board meeting and prior to, and they do tell you more or less what the item is, and we take every single one of these seriously. As Mr. Berrien often asks, do your administrators know how important these things are? Yes, they do. And even from, having a copier in a unknown location that is very different from where it's listed in our, what do you call it?
Software.
In our software or in our inventory list. that could be a finding, because that printer was not in the right office that it was, listed on. So, while there's some no's, we are diligent about making those corrections and ensuring that the departments that are responsible for these findings, some are in attendance, some of them, business office, transportation, so we will continue to work to make this even cleaner.
And I know that you're very diligent with the new student center. And there was 2 findings there regarding student
Attendance.
reporting, right?
Yes.
And the other one was where in transportation, it was overstated. And the district had to refund, I forget how much it was.
I don't remember the
But
amount, but it wasn't.
But those are things that, they're concerning, but they're things that just need to be worked on.
Correct.
The last one is property control. That's a big thing in the district. People don't realize that things disappear, and if there's no accounting for it, and that's why in his office, I think it's Norma, that does all the transfer of
Fixed
property.
assets,
But
right.
all of that stuff is when it first comes in, it's tagged, it's identified, and then you have an accurate, so that when you decide you're gonna get rid of all of that stuff you've been hoarding up there by the high school at the old, by the Red Cross
Red
Center.
Cross.
That stuff's been there for years, he won't get rid of it. And it probably, the weather's probably knocked all the tags off, right? But anyway, it's those kinds of things that, really need to be,
Yeah.
accounted for. I don't know how many cars you've got sitting in the, up in the maintenance across, in the maintenance yard, not the transportation.
Right, correct.
But you've got all kinds of cars in there, but property control is huge, and it's very important, and you gotta be on top, and there was a finding on that.
Yes,
So,
but I wanted, we didn't have any lost items. They were just in a wrong place.
wrong
In a
place.
wrong office or a wrong location. But
I
yes.
I went through all of that, as you remember, with the huge band inventories, all those years. Had to keep track of every little thing.
Right.
And it was wonderful, and I'm glad to say that we did that, and it was never a problem. And also, let me just mention that I was City Finance Committee Chairman for 14 years, and this is, of course, similar. And thank you, Mr. Brain, for appointing me back in 2006.
so they don't have to give all those old dates. Anyway, go ahead. Any further discussion regarding the audit?
No.
Obviously, you've all looked at it, you read it.
Very well.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes,
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes,
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Brain?
Yes, I'm sorry, Nicole, did you have a comment regarding that audit? Oh, I thought, I know, I'm just kidding.
I was just saying I wasn't born by 2006 yet.
Thank you, Nicole.
that's really,
I'm not gonna ask you anymore, I'm not gonna ask you anymore.
and Nicole, there's a lot of equipment that predates you.
Yeah.
Item L, discussion, information, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
did you have a question? Did you have a question?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm behind. Yeah, sorry, apologize. Yeah.
We're on L.
L, yes, sorry,
We voted on it.
Yes.
sorry. I was
He's
fixed on
nervous.
2006, I'm sorry.
I'm the one that's got jet lag, not you. But it's normally me. Item L, discussion, information on the following revised policy exhibit and new policy regulation, Ms. Amanu.
Yes, it's just the updated org chart, and we had to update it because AD was very specific in saying on the governing board section that it needed to say governing board president and members. So Alma worked on this, and really, that's the only change.
Did you make that one change on the?
Yes.
Oh,
uh-huh.
okay. Mr. Lindeman?
it's information.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Information, yeah.
Okay, great. And no questions or no discussion regarding that, members of the board? All right, item 4, executive session. The governing
Actually-
board may vote to convene into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, subsection A, number 1, for the following personnel matter. A, consideration of a certified teacher's request to be released from his fiscal year 2024-25 contract in consideration of whether or not to waive liquidated damages is number 1. And did they both fall under 431, Ms. Samaniego as well?
Yes.
Uh,
That's a question for you, yes.
Uh,
Personnel. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, entertain a motion to do.
I move to enter into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm the one that told you to do it, right? Okay, it's always got to be right, right? No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. We're going to stay in here, board members. Item, are you ready, Marco? Item 5, A, discussion action on the request of the release of the fiscal year 2024-25 contract submitted by Mr. Eddie J. Dees Jr., certified teacher at RBMS. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, my recommendation is to accept the resignation, charge liquidated damages of $1,500, and non-rehirable.
I will make the motion following the recommendation of the superintendent.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Members of the board, any discussion regarding that? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, and for the record, 5B was removed from the agenda by the assent of the board. Number 6, announcements, Ms. Samaniego.
All right, put mine away. Yes, just a reminder, early release day, March 7th. Reminder that all schools will be closed for spring break. District offices will remain open. Full day of no early release due. And this is only for DHS, so we'll make sure we communicate March 19th and March 26th. And we have a next regular board meeting on April the 1st.
April 1st.
Yes.
That could be a fun meeting.
Not
Yes.
really. Yeah, not really.
We could have a lot of fun.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.